Okay, I think we're ready to start. Welcome. I'm very pleased to have you here at our Launchmetrics Solutions event, a series of live demos of Launchmetrics products. And today we'll be talking about measuring the effectiveness of your marketing strategies in China. So my name is Alex. I'm the business marketing executive here at Launchmetrics. And with me today, I have Laura, who's our solutions consultant, and she'll walk you through our platforms and their use cases. So hi, Laura. Very happy to have you here.
Hello, thank you.
Okay, let's quickly go through the agenda. So we'll start by a brief introduction to Launchmetrics for those of you who are with us for the first time. Then we'll move to the key challenges faced by professionals in the industry. Then Laura will walk you through two of our platforms, and we'll have some questions for, we'll have some time for questions at the end, so feel free to pop them in the chat. Right, let's get into it. So for those of you who don't know us, Launchmetrics is the leading brand performance cloud for fashion, luxury, and beauty. We work with over 1,200 clients from the fashion, luxury, and beauty industry, as well as some key partners, some of which you can see here on the left-hand side of the slide. So Launchmetrics is twofold, really. So on one side, we help brands be more efficient. We help them digitize internal processes and optimize the resources that they already have. And then on the other side is tracking their marketing activities, their strategies, and leveraging data and insights so they can better understand the performance of what they've been doing. And today we'll be focusing on that, on the metric side of things, with specific focus on China. So for these two sides, our tools and data help executives make smarter decisions around their branding efforts, and how to start measuring existing efforts and make smarter decisions in new regions is what we'll be discussing today. So that's very quickly about us and what we do and how we do it. And now I want to get into something that's called media impact value. So media impact value, MIV in short, if you read publications such as Vogue Business, or WWD, or the New York Times, you actually might have seen it already. So it's essentially a metric that assigns a monetary value to every post, every article, every campaign, and it helps our customers understand what's working and what isn't. And ultimately, it's a monetary representation of brand performance. And I want to mention MIV as it will become really key when talking about measuring the success of really any activity globally, but I'm sure Laura can also get into it a bit when she walks you through the platform. Now, let's dive into the key challenges faced by professionals when entering new regions and especially China. So as we know, there are different KPIs we use in business to track and to measure different activities. And whereas we have our revenue targets that are quite straightforward in terms of measurement and how we're using them, and the KPIs are probably the same across different brands, different sectors, and different regions. When we think about marketing on PR, there's always this commonly repeated question of how do we actually measure the success of our marketing activities, and especially the ones that focus more on the brand building side rather than performance marketing. So what will be that metric that we can share with our executive team and the metric that we can share across regions? So, someone like marketing director, what they always struggle with is how do I look at my performance as a whole? How do I take that activity that was set to drive conversions and compare it to that print coverage that was supposed to generate awareness? And then how do I take that coverage in Italy and how do I compare it to performance in China? So there's so many different KPIs and metrics used by different teams, so it's very hard to determine this one valuable representation of brand performance. So what really most professionals are lacking is this standardized metric that will give them a holistic view of results for all the different teams across different departments, different goals, and different regions. So that was our issue number one. Then the second issue will be this very narrow, very regional view over that performance. So again, each team will measure the results in a different way, but also each office and each region. So it's going to be extremely hard not only to just compare these different results and numbers, as I mentioned before, but even simply access them, right? We know that process can be quite manual. It requires professionals to email their teams and ask for the reports, and there's time differences. So someone like a CMO or communications director doesn't really have time for that and will want to access these results very quickly so they can better understand, which regions are working well, which need some improvement, so they can be able to distribute the budget accordingly. So what is lacking is this very top level overview of that data. And if also need be access to this very granular data to know what exactly is driving performance in that region and what we can do to replicate it in other regions. And then lastly, our third issue will be benchmarking. So we already know how important it is to measure your own performance, but how do you really understand what it means without a reference? Like, how do I know if these results are good or bad, if I'm given this one metric and nothing to compare it to? So when entering the Chinese market, it's going to be really crucial to see where you currently stand against your competitors and which brands are the top players you can learn from. And here's where the issue starts, really, because what are you going to use to determine where you stand in terms of your marketing? Again, going back to the different KPIs, your competitors might be using different ones, but that's not even the point, because how are you going to access the results? So I know brands do their own research. They have dedicated teams tracking the latest news of different competitors, but frankly, with so much information, so many campaigns, and so many strategy shifts, it's really impossible to stay on top of what everyone is doing. So how do we improve without keeping a close eye on what others are doing and what's working out for our competitors? Especially when talking about the Chinese market, where we can't just really replicate our strategies from the West, but really need to dive into the local voices, local channels, and audience needs. So again, this very limited way of tapping into our competitors, what strategies they're implementing, and how our campaigns perform against them is something most professionals are struggling with. Now, we went through the most common issues. Hope I didn't bore you too much. Now let's see how we can tackle all these with Insights and Discover. Again, feel free to pop any questions that you have in the chat box. And Laura, I'll let you kick off.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alex. We're going to first start having a look at our Insights platform, which is our benchmarking platform. And we're going to compare how the results, how like the MIV, as you were explaining before, the media impact value compares when we're looking at the whole world and also at the world without China. So we're really going to see how APAC is a very important player in a lot of these brands nowadays, and how it's very important to be able to have a whole overview and a whole like visibility of everything in order to make good decisions in nowadays world. So first of all, as you can see, this is our overview, benchmark overview page, where it gives you a global view of your brands and your competitor brands and how their marketing and PR strategy, how it works, and what the results are. So let's have a quick look at this ranking and at the MIV generated. So as you can see, for Rolex, for example, the MIV generated from the 1st of January till the end of September is $363 million. However, if we look at the same picture but without APAC, as I have in this other tab, we see that the value, the MIV, is only 232 million. There is a lot of like value that we do not see if we're not taking into account the whole globe, if we don't take into account China and APAC. It is a very important, it's 1/3 of their MIV, and it's important to take it into account. We can also see as well how the ranking changes for some of these brands when we add APAC. One of the things that it's important when assessing your brand's PR and marketing strategy is to see where does this MIV come from. Does it come from more from print, from online, or from the social medias? That is why it's also very important that we have a global overview, that we see not only the Western social media, but that we also have access to the Chinese social medias. As we can see in this case, a lot of these brands, they are strong players in some of these platforms, like the Chinese social medias, like Weibo, for example. Here we can see that Longines and Tissot, they have over 10% of their MIV coming from Weibo, whereas Patek Philippe has 11% of their total MIV coming from Douyin, which is the Chinese TikTok. But this becomes even more obvious when we look at the influencers, when we do a bit of a zooming in and compare the influencer strategy for the different brands. We can see that both for Longines and Patek Philippe, almost half So almost 50% of their MIV comes from Douyin, which is the Chinese TikTok, no? And we can see as well how a lot of them, so Weibo is an important platform for them, as well as WeChat, as we have down here, and Little Red Book. This is why, as I was saying before, it's very important that we have access to all this data, because otherwise we are not making the best decision making that we can. We're not basing our future strategies with all of the information and with everything that there is to know. So now let's focus a little bit on one brand. So if we do a bit of an overview and go into one brand, we're going to take a look a little bit at Patek Philippe. So this is this part here of Insights is our brand focus, where it allows you to deep dive into one brand. It can be either your brand or any of your competitors' brands. As you can see, you have all the information here. And one of the best things about Insights is that you can click on anywhere, and then you see what's behind that number. You see, okay, what posts are making up this value. So you can also see where, no? So are some, as we are saying, a lot of these that we can see are from APAC. Again, if we don't have access to that data, we are missing out on a lot of information that would be crucial. Let's have a look as well as where in the world is this MIV coming from, as we were seeing. It looks for Patek Philippe, it's US, the biggest player, but the second one is China. So it's important to have this global overview, to have access to the data from all over the world in order to be able to say, okay, maybe I want to grow more in APAC next quarter. Which of my competitors are strong there? Who are they working with? Can I work with them as well? It gives you all this information, all this insight, as the platform is called, Insights, into what your brand is doing and what your competitors' brands are doing as well. And as we can see as well here, if we do a detailed view, we see where the MIV comes from for Patek Philippe. And let's deep dive into influencers once again. So inside the brand focus, we can also do a deep dive into the influencer strategy for this brand. And we can see how and where they are performing best. So as we see for Patek Philippe, the MIV, again, it's all, most of it comes from Chinese social media. And especially as we see the world map here, it changes a lot more now. Now China is the #1 player for influencers, for the value generated by influencers, and the US is not the #1 anymore. So it's good to see. And as we can see as well here, this is the key voices by influencer type. So we have different types of influencers, some that are larger, like micro, mid-tier, mega, and all-star. And if we take a look as well, we see that 7 out of the 10 all-star influencers for Patek Philippe are based in mainland China. So again, having access to this data, having this global overview really allows you to be able to make better decision making for the future, and to be able to compare your performance with your brand's performance, as with your competitors' performances, and as well also be able to see the strategies that each of your competitors as well as yourself have. This is, I'm sure I'm growing really fast through the platform, because we don't have a lot of time, but again, if any of you have any questions, or we're happy to set up individual demos whenever you want. And now let's take a look at our Discover platform. Our Discover platform is our more day-to-day PR monitoring platform. It allows you to see all of your coverage in one place. It allows you to see your print, your online and social coverage. In this case, we've stuck with some of the same brands as we had in Insights. And you can see that the top 2 last week already, the top 2 posts by MIV, the top 2 placements, they come from Weibo. So we can see the MIV that they generated, the engagement, One of the good things as well about this platform is that it allows you to have your PR monitoring like coverage from all over the world in one place, from all of the channels in one place, and you can filter for them. So you can, if you just want to look at China, you can look at it, you can filter for it. If you just want to look at the UK or Germany, you can also do that. It also has the possibility to create newsletters. So you can, obviously you don't always have time to go and check all of your coverage, but you can create special newsletters for different regions and just share the coverage in each region for different mailing lists, or you can just share all of it and then you will receive it in your email. And it's a very easy and comfortable way of seeing your coverage and being able to be up to date with what's happening with your brand. And finally, one of the best things about this cover is its reports. It has the ability to generate 4 types of reports almost instantly. We have 2 PowerPoint reports, which I will show with you. I will share with you in a second what our campaign report looks like. And then we also have like a coverage book, which is a very nice and visual way of sharing your coverage with any stakeholders, and your raw data, where you have, if you want to create your own pivot tables, your own graphs, you can also do that just with the raw data. So now let's take a look at the campaign report before we finish, so that we can see what we're talking about. Perfect. So this is our campaign report. It's a PowerPoint report that can be generated from Discover for any period of time, and it's generated in under 3-4 minutes. It's really fast, and it really saves you time if you have to manually grab and arrange all of your clippings usually. Everything obviously as it's PowerPoint, you can customize it and put your own images and your own logos, and it's always nice. But let's take a look at the importance of Chinese data. That's why we're here, right? Also in your day-to-day reports. As we can see, this is it gives you an overview of this report is from Q3 for Tag Heuer. And it gives you a little bit of an overview of, for print, online, and social, what the total amount of placements, where are they distributed, the potential reach, and the total MIV. We already see that Weibo is going to be a key player here because it already is a big chunk of this cheese or wheel. So let's have a look at the print focus. As we can see here, this is, as I said, is generated in 4 minutes, automatically generated. So super good and easy to see. And we can see that already China, Japan, and Singapore, top 3 players for print for Tag in the last quarter. Again, it's really important to not just have the Chinese social media data, but also to focus on the Chinese print and Chinese online data, because it makes up a very big part of a lot of like nowadays brands MIV, especially like the big brands, the global brands. It is very important to have this visibility. And yeah, so as we can see, print focus, it's nice to see the top countries. You can also see the top publications, top articles, and then you can see a coverage selection of your top clips. And similar, we have something very similar for online, where you can see the placements by channel. So is it online media, image gallery, or blogs that the value is being generated in, and the location. So we can see that for online media, the top country is US, but China is second. Once again, emphasizing on the importance on having the global view, everything, be able to see all of the country's data, because you never know where your value is being generated from and which ones might be like your key players. And I think this is a very quick overview of Discovers and Insights. We're happy to take any questions if you have any, and yeah, nice talking to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Laura. That was super good, super brief overview. But I think it gave us a good overview of what Insights and Discover are. So I actually do have a couple of questions. So let me just select the first one. Okay, so someone is asking, is the way you calculate MIV for China the same as for Europe?
Yes. So one of the most important things about our MIV is that it's completely cross-channel. So it allows you to see, to compare your print results with your online results, with your social results, but also is completely global. So it allows you to compare your Chinese social media results with your Instagram results, and also your China print results with your US print results. It is completely global and completely cross-channel, which really makes being able to compare all of your coverage so much easier and so much productive.
Okay, perfect. And then I know you mentioned Douyin a couple of times, and we actually have a question on that channel. So you mentioned Douyin, but since it's a video-based platform, how do you track brand mentions there?
Very good question. So for Douyin, we have some tech that allows us to extract the text from the video. So we have the speech to text capabilities that allows us to actually be able to understand what they're saying and be able to see if they're mentioning your brand. And then we can translate those results into insights, and that's how we also calculate the MIV, by listening to what they're saying and translating it to text, and then we just put it into Insights and Discover.
That's great. I think that saves a lot of time. I remember years ago when we had to track different brand mentions, and people would just sit there and watch these videos and just listen to, did the person mention the brand? And that could take, hours and hours. So
yeah,
really good. We have that technology now.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. And then I think we have a third question. So are the competitors defined by the platform, or can I choose my own competitors?
No, so Insights has the capability to host up to 50 competitors at a time. So you can have up to 50 brands there, and you can always choose up to 10 at one period of time. But you can really choose your own competitors. There's no it's completely flexible. We have one page, which is the initial page, which is the industry page, which we do a ranking of what we consider all of the brands in your industry, and you can always gather ideas from that if necessary. But yeah, it is super customizable and very user friendly.
Okay, perfect. And I'm actually going to ask you a question, because I know you showed Insights and Discover. And what I really want everyone to understand is, why would you need the two to have? Like, what's the differences, and why would I use Insights and Discover, not one or the other?
Yeah, good question. So Discover is your day-to-day PR monitoring tool. It allows you to see who talks about your brand, see every mention, be able to report on every mention, every single print, online, and social mention. But it also allows you to create a special campaign. So for example, if you have a new campaign for Christmas, you can use the keywords and only search for that, and then be able to send newsletters for that campaign or report on that campaign. So it's more for your day-to-day PR needs, more for just seeing every single article, every single post, every single mention that mentions your brand. And Insights is your benchmarking platform. Insights, what it really allows you to do is to compare your brand's PR and marketing strategy with your competitors' PR and marketing strategies. It allows you to see what your competitors are doing, where are they generating value, and compare it to yours. And not only that, but also be able to compare it month by month, and see. Insights gives you a lot of data, a lot of insights. But at the same time, it gives you the data that you need. It doesn't give you a lot of information that you don't care about. It gives you what you need in order to base your decision making in the future. Insights is a more strategic tool. It's more to see the global overview, to have a global understanding of what's happening with your brand, what's happening with your competitors' brands, and how are they working, how are they generating media value, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. And so you mentioned I can set up some different campaigns in Discover, but is it only for my brand, or if I wanted to, let's say, compare my Christmas campaign to my competitor's Christmas campaign, would I be able to do that as well?
Yes, you would. So the way we work with Discover is on a keyword basis. So if your competitors has a fairly straightforward name, you would be able to do it. It is, yes, again, one of the best things about Discover is that it's super user friendly. So even though we do have support teams and tech teams that can help you with queries, at the end of the day, most of the time, you can create your own feeds, your own subfolders, and really just work with the tool yourself and see what you can get from it. But yeah, you can input if you need like your competitor's name there and for a campaign, and then you can compare their results to yours and see how it's going. But if you really want to compare like a Christmas period, for example, if you want to see November how your competitors did, Insights also gives you a lot of I want to say insight again, I'm repeating myself, but yeah, a lot of information, a lot of really, really useful data and information on how they performed on that month. And then you can see, okay, so these are, as we saw, you could click on them and you would see what was behind that number, no? So you could say, oh, I see the top 5 posts are about this Christmas advent calendar. How did it compare with my advent calendar? And things like that.
Okay, amazing. Sorry, I kind of had my own questions as well, but I'm really always curious about discovering insights. So thank you so much for answering those. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We hope that was helpful. It was my pleasure to have you here, and Laura as well. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, as Laura mentioned before, feel free to email us. We can schedule always a one-to-one to dive into the platform. And if you're also looking for other tools, let's say you're not yet measuring the performance, but you're looking to maybe enter the Chinese market and need your whole launch to market solution, we also do that. So feel free to email us and we'll tell you all about it. So have a great weekend, everyone, and I'll see you on the next live session.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.